I wanted to come back to Gears Reloaded, and first of all, before I begin talking about the topic, which is Grand Theft Auto 6 E-Day, and also kind of why I stopped playing Reloaded, I wanted to first of all give a really big shout out and thank you to every single person that has supported the montage I released as kind of an end to Gears Reloaded and my highlights. It was by far my most liked video and most commented. Not my most viewed, because I understand montages don't really get views these days, but there was such a tremendous amount of support that I wanted to give it a little bit of time to breathe, a little bit of time to pick up some views. We're at 800 views now. I'd love to get it to 1,000, so if you haven't seen it, it's just above here. It's called Why Execution Still Hits Different, Z's Final Highlights. And there's so many fantastic comments, and I'm really, really glad I was able to give you something nostalgic to enjoy. And yeah, it's just on my channel. If you head to my channel, it's my featured video, and I really do hope you enjoy it. And thanks for all the support. Now I want to talk about some big topic, some E-Day stuff. Remember how I recently spoke about how it could potentially be hindered by Grand Theft Auto? Remember that? How Xbox was having potentially an identity crisis, and some issues that the product is kind of facing? Well, there was just some big news, and effectively what has happened is Grand Theft Auto 6 has been delayed. Rockstar has delayed it to November the 19th, 2026. Now, that date's important because usually around the November time, that coincides with series anniversaries with Gears, and that's normally when a product gets released, is around that Christmas period. Now, we don't know the actual date of Gears E-Day to be released. It's been confirmed for 2026. I've speculated that it could be pushed back, it could be altered, it could be changed because of the way Xbox is sort of going right now. But one thing's for certain is GTA was not meant to be coming out in November. It was meant to be coming out a lot earlier. Why was this a sort of issue? Well, it's obviously a massive issue because it's the biggest game possible that's coming out, and now all of a sudden, rather than maybe playing GTA early, playing 6, 7, 8 months of maybe Grand Theft Auto, and then a few people, because let's not kid ourselves, Grand Theft Auto is absolutely massive and people will be playing this game like they're still playing GTA 5, but some people might think, you know what, I've played 6, 7 months of GTA, just for a month or even just a couple of weeks, I'm gonna play E-Day. It doesn't mean that GTA's dead or that E-Day will thrive because they're not pitted against each other. But for that month, maybe a couple months, you know, some people might try E-Day. They might, for example, have thought to themselves, I want to play Grand Theft Auto, I'm going to buy a console. Well, now that I've got the PlayStation, I've got the console, what other games are out? I'm going to try E-Day. Now, all of a sudden, what's happened is there's been this delay till November, again, coinciding with that series anniversary, and it basically means that two heavy-hitting titles are going to go head-to-head in the same window, competing for market share, and there's only one winner there. So it's come from May 2026, that's when GTA was originally set to play, to basically November. Now, what GTA do that's quite clever as well is they kind of do a delayed release. They kind of delay PC, so it's almost like a second launch, and people are even tempted to buy a console to not miss that year. They want to get GTA so badly that they'll even buy a console and then they'll buy it on PC. So for these companies, Grand Theft Auto is just a juggernaut, and they will bend over backwards to support them because they just know how much revenue is basically going to come in from this game. Now, obviously, we know Gears is a prequel, and it's set before the franchise. Well, not sort of set before the franchise, but it's basically the prequel to the Gears of War franchise, I suppose. And everybody in the industry and anybody that knows about Gears is going to speculate that, again, it's coming in that November 2026, doesn't it? And analysts have said that GTA's delay, quote, shapes fall 2026 as huge for major releases including E-Day. So yeah, if Gears E-Day is being released into GTA, you can just ream it off. Audience, it's not going to get the same audience. People are just going to be all over GTA. Media and marketing. Look, TC are bloody hopeless. We know that. But let's imagine some fairy tale world where they do a bit of marketing. They do a bit of, PlayStation were thinking, hey, let's hype up this first big title because let's be honest, Reloaded was a remaster, but let's hype up this first big Gears title on PlayStation. No, they might give it a few bits and pieces, but all the budget, timing, decisions from purchasers, consumers, and marketing is going to be going to GTA, not Gears. And, well, I'm not going to say they're comparable games, but they're both shooting games. But GTA has this it's like a cultural game at this point, isn't it? It's got so much more appeal than kind of niche Gears that even if Gears were to survive for a few months, maybe you think to yourself, imagine this wouldn't happen, by the way, this would never happen. GTA like flops a little bit and like the hardcore Gears fans don't jump ship and they're sitting playing E-Day. That's not going to happen now because they will be playing GTA at the same time. So to be honest, I think if you were Microsoft or if you were Xbox, you'd have to rechange your release date. You'd basically have to release it very, very soon to avoid that blanket blackout that GTA is just going to cover everything with. Or if you're really, really not changing the release date, which would be it's just suicide for the game, you would have to ramp up the marketing so much that like you're just focused so much on this niche audience that isn't that bothered about GTA. Is just focused on like we want a third person shooter and we love Gears, and you just have to go all out for the marketing. I don't think TC can do that. Or you try leverage a Game Pass and you're like, okay, well GTA isn't on Game Pass, but this game is. You're gonna have to stagger post-launch content or plan tons of post-launch content because you're forever going to be in the shadow of GTA. You're for at least that year, so you need to have a planned piece of content monthly to keep people coming back. Otherwise, they'll just drift and they get swamped and taken in by the bigger franchise because they think, well, these devs look after us. TC doesn't look after its players. If you happen to get involved in Gears and like Gears, it's probably the worst thing you can do because they're the worst set of developers. Okay, maybe not as people, but as a collective, whatever happens, the coalition, they're not doing anything. So, Gears E-Day, I think, was already in trouble, right? Xbox is already in a little bit of trouble because, I mean, remember I said a few weeks ago, people like, don't be silly. I said that Xbox is changing. I watched an advert on my TV 2 weeks ago. I made that video 2 weeks ago, and a couple nights ago I watched an advert, and it was somebody playing on a PC, it was like on a kind of PlayStation looking device. There was a handheld, there was like a laptop, and the audio over the top was going, this is an Xbox, this is an Xbox, this is an Xbox. And yeah, basically, Xbox isn't really about selling games, and so they don't really need E-Day to do fantastic because it's not about let's get this exclusive title to sell our console. They don't care about selling consoles anymore. If we want to have a look at some things here, and I'll shrink myself down here for the ease. So if I bring myself on screen here and we have a little bit of a look, you can see some titles and some headlines. Xbox Studios Matt Booty reveals that part of the reason the Xbox exclusive games are going to PS5 is our biggest competition isn't another console. We're competing more and more with everything from TikTok to movies. Look, they are not bothered about making Gears E-Day a great game to sell a console. They're not even bothered about games. This Asmongold video, this is a book that was basically handed around, and Xbox have even promoted this book. This is what they get excited about. When Burberry approached Mythical Games, the creator of the renowned blockchain-based video game Blankos Block Party, about its introduction to its new fashion line through unique in-game characters, the Mythical team, led by founder blah blah blah, it thought it was a joke, but Burberry was serious, and they wanted to tap into a new digital audience. They want these blockchain games. They want your TikTok. They want your shorts. They want your eyes. They want your attention. You are, and this book refers to you thousands of times over, a customer, a consumer. They don't even think of you as a gamer. They don't care about making good games. That's why games like Ball Pit and games like Mega Bonk and these other small games are popping off, because that game is going, right, how do I make my game good? Like, I know how to get the attention of gamers. Make a good game. Then people might play the game and talk about the game and share it. Yeah, let's do that. Now, you can do a different approach. You can make kind of a shitty game, but with enough backing and enough marketing, you can almost make anything survive. And it's just laughable. I mean, look at the Coalition guys. You think these guys are going to compete with GTA? They've done a tweet in October the 17th talking about a different game that nobody cares about. Then they've done some merchandise and some more virtue signaling, even though they really don't care about suicide prevention, because they had thousands of people DMing me after the tweets that they put out. They don't give a shit. It's just virtue signaling. And then we've got some in September 2023, some more virtue signaling that they actually don't really seem to give a fuck about when it comes to it, because they'll throw anybody under the bus for their woke virtue signaling. And that's it. That's your marketing. You think these guys are going to compete with GTA? You think these guys are going to pull it out the bag? I would be astounded, happily astounded, but utterly astounded if the Coalition make Gears big again. It's not happening. Not with this lot. And so, yeah, we're releasing directly into E-Day, and I think that's boom. I think that's the nail in the coffin there for the game. It might be a good game. It might be a decent game. You might enjoy playing it. It'll still have its Gears fans, but longevity is going to be slammed if you're going directly into GTA, because all it takes is a couple bad months of Gears, or a couple good months. You play a couple good months and then it begins to fade and there's no content, and GTA is just churning out content. You're like, yeah, I'll buy that game, I'll play that game, and all of a sudden you don't want to go back. Like, what's there to bring me back? To mention at the start of the video, I said, why have I quit playing Reloaded? I think for me to talk about why I quit playing Reloaded would need a whole nother video, but basically you have to look at why I started playing it. Well, I started playing Reloaded because it was one of the only Gears titles I was now allowed to play. It was nostalgic, and I wanted to experience a little bit of nostalgia of my favourite game. And even I, after a month, got bored because there's literally nothing to do on the game, which is okay sometimes, but when you've played the game and it's been released about 9 times, that everybody's done everything humanly possible, then the developers have to do something called drumroll. They have to develop something and keep people playing. You can't just say, yeah, just keep playing for those classic Gears moments, guys, see ya. Because we've done it for 20 years. We've been there, done there, seen there, done it all. So yeah, you actually do need to make something a bit new. And so with the Game Pass price rises, I cancelled my Game Pass, and I see no reason to go back. The Coalition don't do anything to the game. I've played the game and enjoyed my nostalgia. What reason is there to go back to play on dodgy American servers? The only reason I even stuck around and kept playing it for so long is because I wanted to make this video for you. I wanted to make this nostalgic video. I'd love it to get to 1,000 views. YouTube doesn't you can't hype the video because it's got copyrighted music. People don't like montages, so they're hard to algorithm, shall we say. And Gears is pretty small, but if you enjoyed it, do share, do comment, do give it a like, because I put such effort in. I put every single sound file from the game in individually, recording cutscenes, making it in the 3D editor, and I really did try my best to get some fun, classic execution moments for you. and I feel like my time with the Gears 1 is done, unless TC do something, and these lot don't seem to do anything. And so you're now directly launching into GTA 6, which I find really funny, because if these guys had a brain cell, when Gears 5 was a giga flop, they should have just immediately thought, shit, this was a big, big fuck up. We need to crank out Gears 6. We need to get the story wrapped up and done. You could have had Gears 6 done, and there'd have still been 4-5 years till where we are now. You could have had E-Day then, and now it could have been Gears 6 released 3 years ago. We could have had 3 years of Gears 6, but they seemingly sat there watching their product die, and then panicked and thought, how do we get our fans back? Shit, release Gears Reloaded, that's old style. Do a prequel, that's old style. Let's try to get the old fans back, when actually they needed some new fans. And like I say, they missed the boat, because we could have had a couple years of GTA, a couple years of Gears 6, a couple years of E-Day already. Now we've had nothing, and now they've ended up, I think it's amusing, they've waited so long that they're now going to launch into GTA 6. Well done. Really, really brilliant move. So yeah, leave a comment, leave a like. I'm sorry I have been making some different videos, but you know, YouTube is just a hobby for me, and I like to speak on different things, be that bit of politics, which I don't really dabble in, some Path of Exile. But yeah, I just wanted to give the Gears a little bit of a break and give it time to breathe. I would love you to check out that montage and share it, because that's the best way for it to share. But yeah, Gears E-Day, we're in trouble.